Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of the Eleusinian Society. We are almost to 1,000 subscribers, and to thank all of you for your wonderful support, I will be doing a book giveaway. That's right, I'm giving away a brand new copy of Fingerprints of the Gods by Graham Hancock, one of my personal favorites when it comes to ancient history and theology. All you have to do is be a subscriber to this channel and comment on any of our videos the answer to this question. What is the original name of the Kingdom of Egypt? Good luck! I will be picking the winner on a live video once we reach our goal. And without further ado, I give to you the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The Colossus of Rhodes, the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the statue of Zeus at Olympia, the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, the Mausoleum at Helicarnassus, and the Lighthouse of Alexandria. The 7 wonders of the ancient world are 7 notable structures, either known for their impossible architecture or cultural prominence. Many have succumbed to time and natural disasters. Others have locations that have only been speculated and have never been found. But today we will use a combination of modern archaeology and ancient accounts to attempt to locate and find out more about these legendary structures and their present resting places. To start, let's dive into the most visible and visited of these ancient sites, the Great Pyramid of Giza. The largest of the pyramids at Giza in Egypt, known as the Great Pyramid, is speculated to have been built around 4,500 years ago, during the 4th Dynasty period. It is considered to be the oldest of the ancient wonders, and is also the most intact. In 1837, the first of many inspections were held inside the pyramid, which produced some telling information as to its origins. A clay seal, currently held at the Louvre, bears the name of the great pharaoh Khufu, along with some red paint on the walls. The builders of the pyramid would often sign their work with the mark of their guild or gang, groups that were split up and tasked with building certain parts. The red painted signature reads, "The white crown of Khufu is powerful," a phrase which could allude to either the gang's name or the pharaoh which commissioned the building of the pyramid. The purpose is not entirely known. Its construction consists of more than 2.3 million limestone and granite blocks, weighing nearly 30 billion pounds. Perhaps the most incredible architectural feat of this monstrous build is the several 70-ton granite blocks resting around 40 meters high in the air that surround the king's chamber. These pink granite monoliths line the floor, walls, and ceiling, and were hoisted up using ancient technology and methods we still cannot explain today. As of 2020, 14.7 million tourists visit the site every year to witness in awe the grandeur of this mega wonder of the ancient world. The Colossus of Rhodes. The next part of our journey brings us to the island of Rhodes in the boundaries of Greece, although it's closer to Turkey in the Mediterranean Sea. The Colossus of Rhodes was a 105-foot tall statue made of pure bronze, constructed in the image of the Greek sun god Helios near the port of Rhodes, and was completed in 280 BC. The building started in 292 BC and was overseen by its creator, Chares of Lindos. Underneath this massive work of art stood a white marble pedestal, which alone was 49 feet in height. According to the accounts of Philo, the statue was built in segments, with each horizontal layer being casted and then buried before moving to the next. This process allowed for large quantities of bronze to be casted in a faster amount of time, and for the segments to have support while cooling. The whole statue was eventually unburied after the entire structure was one large connected piece. Unfortunately, just 54 years after its completion in 226 BC, the statue succumbed to an earthquake and was never fully erected again. Parts were kept aside, but the Rhodians decided not to rebuild. In 653 AD, the island was conquered by Arab forces, who completely destroyed the statue and melted down its several tons of bronze. According to the accounts of Theophanes the Confessor, The bronze was bought by a Jewish merchant in Edessa who conveyed the metal from Rhodes on the backs of 900 camels. Scholars are not entirely sure where the statue stood on the island of Rhodes, nor as to if it straddled the harbor or if it just stood next to it, but common theory is that it stood on the current site of the fort of St. Nicholas, or within the Acropolis of Rhodes itself. The statue of Zeus at Olympia. Olympia is a small town located near Elis on the Peloponnese Peninsula of Greece. Nearly 2,500 years ago, Greek sculptor Phidias designed and constructed the great statue of Zeus there, a massive seated statue confined inside the walls of a sanctuary temple. Phidias had already constructed the statue of Athena in the Parthenon and sought to create a structure of even larger proportions next. Zeus, the principal god of the Olympians and father of thunder, was perhaps the most revered of all of the Olympians, as his might was the might of Olympus. It was by Zeus's inspiration that Phidias was able to craft his Olympian-sized structure, which stood over 40 feet tall and was made of luxurious materials like ivory, gold, ebony, cedar wood, and precious gemstones. The body of the statue was made up of wood, with other elements adorning the outer layer. The wondrous appeal of Phidias's work was documented by Greek geographer Pausanias, who, in detailed fashion, described its laurels and floral accents in ways likened to poetry. In Roman accounts, Caligula had ordered the destruction of all large-scale Olympian statues, and even went so far as to order that they be brought to Rome beheaded and pulverized. He was assassinated before the statue of Zeus succumbed to that kind of fate. However, around the 5th century AD, the statue did meet its demise. Due to Christianity spreading across the Roman Empire, it fell into disuse and was most likely destroyed in a fire. Temple remains have been found across Olympia throughout the past few centuries, but none have come up as definitely being those of the statue of Zeus. There was a 5th century workshop found near where the temple would have been in 1954 that had traces of precious stones and ivory in its relics, pointing to the possibility of it being the place where Phidias had constructed the statue. The Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. The Temple of Artemis, or the Temple of Diana, was a Greek structure built around the 6th or 7th century BC, during the Ionic Bronze period. It was located in Ephesus, and underwent several rebuilds in its existence due to various disasters. Its original build was destroyed by a flood in the same century of its construction, and was later rebuilt in a more elaborate fashion around 550 BC by Chersiphron, a Cretan architect, and his son Metagenes. Chersiphron's version of the temple was destroyed in 256 BC by fire caused by a vandalist who opposed the goddess Artemis. The final form of the temple was constructed in the 2nd century BC, and it was funded entirely by the Ephesians, the citizens of the city where the temple resided. In modern times, there are still small fragments of the temple remaining, but what did the temple look like before its ultimate demise? The Temple of Artemis was 450 feet in length and was 225 feet wide. At its peak, it stood 60 feet in height. Surrounding the inner chamber was 127 massive Ionic pillars made of white marble. The internal imagery featured many sculptures, panels, and reliefs, which adorned images of feminine nature, including the goddess of the night, Nyx, which was sculpted by Roscius in the 6th century BC. There was an altar at the center surrounded by images of the Amazons, mythological female warriors who were said to have founded Ephesus. The inner pillars were said by Greek accounts to have been gilded with silver and gold. Accounts from 268 AD expressed that the temple was set ablaze by Goths during their invasion into the Roman Empire. It truly is a shame that we will never get to see the temple again in its original beauty. Luckily, there is a replica in Istanbul, which is open to tourists who wish to get a generic glimpse into what it may have looked like. The Mausoleum at Helicarnassus. The Mausoleum of Helicarnassus is another Grecian structure that rested in what is modern-day Turkey. It was built around 350 BC as a tomb for Mausolus, a satrap or sort of provincial governor, and his sister wife, Artemisia II of Caria, a ruthless commander and naval strategist who succeeded Mausolus upon his death. The term mausoleum that we still use today, which is given to any tomb built above ground level, actually comes from the name of this epic structure, honoring the man it was built for. It was designed by the team of Satrios and the famous Greek builder Pythias of Priene, and stood nearly 150 feet in height. Its body was almost entirely made from marble. The construction of the mausoleum is believed by archaeologists to have started before the death of Mausolus, and was continued by Artemisia, who hired the most renowned and talented artist at the time to create the hundreds of statues, panels, and columns that adorned it. Sadly, sometime between 1200 to 1500 AD, the mausoleum succumbed to earthquakes and can only be seen in pieces today. It was the last of the 6 destroyed wonders of the world to meet its gravely fate. The Lighthouse of Alexandria. The Lighthouse, or Pharos, of Alexandria was, during its existence, the tallest man-made structure on Earth. It was built on the port of Alexandria, Egypt, around 280 BC, and was a focal point of the center of Ptolemaic Egypt that awed every traveler who gazed below its shadow. It reached an estimated height of 330 feet, with a base of 100 feet squared. After Alexander the Great died, Ptolemy took control over Egypt and commissioned the building of this great structure. Unfortunately, he died before it was completed, but his son, Ptolemy II Philadelphus, saw to its completion. Most of the masonry that was used in its construction consisted of granite and limestone blocks, with a large furnace at the top to guide ships into the nearby port. Like nearly all other wonders of the ancient world, the lighthouse succumbed to earthquakes and natural disasters between 1000 to 1300 AD, but was fully decommissioned in 1480 AD when its stones were gathered and conveyed to build the nearby citadel of Kite Bay in Alexandria. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Of all the 7 wonders of the ancient world, only one has been entirely lost to time. The most popular of the legends surrounding the Hanging Gardens is that they were built by the Neo-Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar II as a gift for his wife, who missed the greenery and flora of her homeland. The famous historical writer Josephus quoted a Babylonian monk by the name of Marduk in one of his pieces of literature, citing, "In this palace he erected very high walls, supported by stone pillars, and by planting what was called a pensile paradise, and replenishing it with all sorts of trees. He rendered the prospect an exact resemblance of a mountainous country. This he did to gratify his queen, because she had been brought up in Media and was fond of a mountainous situation." Archaeologists have yet to place an exact location where the gardens existed, but theory is that they were built near present-day Hilla in Iraq. Current political situations have made archaeological digs a difficult feat, but hopefully one day we can find and recover some of its artifacts. If you had to pick 3 more ancient structures to add to the list of ancient wonders, which 3 would you choose? Comment your answers down below. And as always, thank you for joining us on the Eleusinian Society.